right, welcome to the ASCO Oncology Series. And if you're planning for ASCO, like we are with our clients, you're going to want to tune in. If you haven't watched the previous series video, the episode, you're going to want to mark down episode 25. It's a mind-blowing experience about when I uncover how you can digitally advertise on ASCO's website. You want to check it out. Basically, it's an expensive opportunity to reach those medical oncologists. And in today's episode, I'm going to break down a tactic that you probably have seen walking in the cities of like Chicago. And, you know, if you're planning for AACR as well in San Diego next year, well, you're going to want to tune in as well, because obviously at the end of the day, you're targeting a variety of different oncologists, and that's what we're discussing. But in today's episode, we're going to break down a tactic of different screens outside the convention center from McCormick Place, and obviously in San Diego at the convention center. And think about it for your perspective, all those medical oncologists coming out, both of those venues, right? It's packed. There's 30,000 people, and they're going to go to their hotel. They're going to go to dinners. They're going to go to, go back to their hotel to catch up on work, right? But they're also going to go out for dinner at night. So this targeting, I'm going to break down right now for you. It's called digital out of home, DOOH. And it's a way to advertise on screens outside the convention center. Let's get into it. This episode right now, and if you're planning for ASCO or AACR, 'tis the season right now, because I am as well with a lot of our clients in the space. And so I'm excited to talk about this topic, specifically around how you can stand out at major oncology conferences. And if you're watching this episode and you're targeting a variety of different oncologists, well, continue to watch this. And if you haven't watched the previous episode in this playlist, specifically around ASCO, it's episode number 25. And in that episode, I break down specifically a sponsorship on ASCO's main microsite. So you can advertise on their microsite. It's the registration page. It's obviously all the information that's pertaining to ASCO for next year, right? But what I uncovered is under that sponsorship was specifically a cost per thousand that was massively expensive, right? It's a $400 CPM. And if you're not a media planner, definitely recommend going back and looking at the previous episode. I break down what the cost per thousand is, and another way to measure specifically around digital advertising and your share of voice. That's also listed specifically on that episode as well. So definitely you're going to want to check that out. Specifically, it's going to showcase exactly how you can do the digital media buy. And I put an alternative, right? So one alternative is specifically around leveraging the power of data. So our agency works with a lot of data providers, specifically around national provider identifiers, NPI numbers, CPT codes, ICD-10 codes. We can leverage all that data. It's great data. We can mine that data and really target your niche HCP audience. So check that out. And if you have watched that episode and you're not a subscriber, click the subscription button right now, click the like button. But I'm going to get into specifically in the next couple minutes. I'm going to break this down very succinctly, very quickly. It's called digital out of home, DOOH. And you may have heard of it. And if you have, that's totally cool, because I'm going to bring up here on the screen specifically digital out of home and how it actually works. So this screenshot was actually for a conference that just happened a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, you've probably heard of ESMO if you've been to ASCO or AACR. That's another major conference for us. And we can do this internationally, meaning digital out of home internationally. So you've probably seen a lot of these screens. I know when you go to like Chicago, San Francisco, LA, there's panels and screens everywhere in those major cities. And that's an opportunity, which again, it's called digital out of home. So you can see on the screenshot up here, up on the screen, you can see that there's a variety of different of these screens. And I'm going to get very specific in a tool that we use to know how many screens you can target. I'm also going to show you what the impressions are, the number of panels that we can obviously, use and leverage. Because if you think about it, right, if you're at ASCO, AACR, there, thousands of those medical oncologists are coming out of the trade show. They're waiting in line for their Ubers, right? They're waiting in line for lifts. Or for San Diego, they're just walking across the street, not getting in Ubers, right? Their hotel's probably right across the street, and all these panels and screens are there. Chicago is very similar. Obviously, it's a much bigger city, so there's going to definitely be more screens. There's going to be people in Ubers, in Lyfts, right? But that's the great thing about this opportunity for digital out of home is you can capture those medical oncologists that are going out to dinner, right, or walking to their hotel as they pass by. So the alternatives to something like this, like I mentioned before, would be advertising on the website, right, for ASCO, which is super expensive. So the minimum buy for that is $40,000. Super expensive. I mean, if you're a pharma company, that's not a big deal. Our agency doesn't typically work with pharma. We work with life science, genetics, genomics, healthcare, med tech. A lot of those clients are early stage startups, but they're typically well funded to larger companies that are obviously commercially available and commercially launched already. So we're in that niche space. So typically they can't spend that. I mean, they could spend the $400,000, right? But it's probably not worth it. It's very similar to the different sponsorships you see all the time, right? At conferences, the lanyards, the Wi-Fi, and most recently the sanitizer, right? What's the response on that? How do you measure it? Well, you really can't, right? So with this digital out of home, at least we can show you impressions, right? You can put a QR code in there for them, obviously to take that picture and go back to your website. There's also different alternatives that I mentioned in the previous episode about leveraging the power of data. So there's a lot of different other opportunities that you can leverage. And if we talk about this digital out of home for a moment, and we talk about specifically other alternatives to do this digital out of home, it would be taking a mass budget, right, to do billboards in Chicago around McCormick Place. And from what I've heard from some other clients last year, the minimum buy was like $500,000, right? And so if we can target multiple locations, these panels, screens, right? And they're in like urban areas, they're in restaurants, they're in shopping centers, they're on the main street. Again, you've probably seen these before. The great thing about the digital out of home is it's digital, meaning it's video, right? It's not just a static billboard that you see. And so you can definitely hack the attention of your medical oncologist that's walking by. That's the great thing about this. It's not just a static display, right? You want to get your information out there. Keep in mind, right? It's a billboard, right? So you can't get a ton of copy on there, but you can get your brand, you can get your solution out there, you can get your booth number out there. You can include the QR code, like I mentioned, track that at least. When you're sponsoring the sanitizer, right? You can't really sponsor, or you can't really see what the metrics are on something like that. So I'm going to switch screens here. I'm going to bring up the tool that we use, because everybody comes to us and they're like, hey, well, how many screens are available? Where are the locations? And we've got an amazing tool that we can actually show this to you. So I'm going to put this in specifically something that you can request. I don't want to put it up in the description, but if you hit me up in the comment section, I'll definitely be able to share this with you. So let me go to this tool and specifically walk you through. So what we're doing is proximity to McCormick Place. And we just put in there pharma client for advertiser just to put that in there. Don't pay attention to that specifically. It's not a big deal. Next year, just so you know, as you're probably planning for ASCO, it's May 31st through June 4th. And total budget right here, that's not 100% accurate, because what we're going to do is look at it from a cost per thousand, and it's a bid range. So if you remember when I was talking about cost per thousand before on the ASCO website, right, that was a $400 CPM. These ranges are going to be a little bit higher because basically we're partnering with someone to be able to do that, but definitely much cheaper than a $400 CPM. So for example, if we want to look at the inventory of those different panels in Chicago, and this is going to include both outdoor and indoor. So if you look at it specifically, let's get in there. So if we scroll down a little bit, and I haven't played with this tool a ton, so bear with me for a moment. So if you look at it up here, there are 79 targeted venues. So again, the venues, there's a restaurant. It looks like just outside of someone's storefront there. The next one's in an elevator. There's 24 screens in the elevator, more elevators, more elevators, obviously. And so when we do the avails, if we want to get very specific, we can not include certain screens, right? Certain revenues. But if you look at it, let's see here. So I'm going to see if I can click on it again. This is the first time I'm doing some of this, or pretty close to the first time. So bear with me for a moment. Just trying to see if I get the different screens. So again, 79. Something to think about here too. If we scroll down, let's see, and I'm just getting here up on the map, so we can kind of see a little bit more. So if we get a little bit closer, and there we go, there's 30, but if you click on it, there's going to be much more than that. So like down here by McCormick Place, which we're getting pretty close to, right now, there's different ad sizes. So you see this 19 by 20, or sorry, 1920 by 960. There are 49 different screens that size, and much larger, 1920 by 1080. There's 69 screens. So we would want to definitely target those. These are the smaller ones. And then if you look down here, here's the formatting. Again, this is video, right? This is not just a static ad that you see up there. This is video. So you're definitely going to be able to hack that attention of that person. You've got up to 30 seconds to get your messaging in there, get your brand, get your solution right, get your copy up there, and then max file size 250. But the great thing about this, let's go back to the inventory. So if we click on this third one here, yeah, so the inventory changes, right? This is off Wells Drive. And again, we can, so it looks like a restaurant. There's an office building. So what we probably want to do, as I'm looking through this as a strategist, you're probably thinking the same thing. We probably don't want to target any office buildings. And that is the great thing about this, is we don't have to, we can remove certain locations. And typically spends for something like this, it really just depends. It's all customized, right? So based on the number of screens, based on the number of ad impressions. So we're working with our clients right now to help map out a lot of these. And specifically, so it looks like a restaurant, yeah, casual dining, urban panel here, another urban panel. So we would definitely want to capture all those. And again, this is a very specific tool. So you can go, you can expand to get a little bit more specific. So if I go out a little bit more, and I go down here and I want to check this area. So if we look at I was staying at the Magnificent Mile. So if we go up a little bit further, let's get in this area. So it looks like we're on the edge here. So it looks like, let's click on some of these just to see what they are. So more office buildings. Again, we would opt out of that. Let's check out this location. So another restaurant, more office buildings. Again, we would want to opt out of those. But you can see it covers a massive area here. And let's go back. Let me go back out of this a little bit to see, but you can just see all the locations, right? So if you click on that number 13, click on it again, you can see all the different screens. So it's a great tactic. Again, if you're looking to provide data, you've got a new solution, you've got a product launch, right? If you're going to want to market to all those, right, it's definitely something that you're going to want to promote, right? You're going to want to stand out. And this is a cost-effective solution. So as you go through and specifically start working on your strategies and tactics, and again, we're already in the boat right now, and we're like, right, we're paddling right through a lot of different strategic things. And just so you know, in the next 2 weeks, I don't have the date right in front of me, but I believe it's November 30th. I'll drop it in the description. We're launching a second webinar that's going to be focused around ASCO, and specifically not only ASCO, but just being able to reach those niche HCPs like medical oncologists, any oncologist we're able to target. And so you're going to definitely want to sign up for that webinar. We've got 3 different dates and times. And again, I'll drop that in the description below. But if this video has been helpful, as you plan out your strategic calendar, content creation, and targeting and initiatives and campaigns for next year, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'm happy to bring you more information about ASCO and AACR and just being able to reach your niche HCP online. Bye for now.